run by FunkMastaDre.
All right, how is everyone doing? So this is Spark the Electric Jester 2. I know some people were a little bit disappointed that there was a lack of Sonic at this event, but I think this will definitely make up for it because this is basically a Sonic clone done extremely well. So I'm FunkMastaDre.
I'm Imaginary.
And you
might look familiar. It's because I am.
I was going to say, if you were here like maybe 5 minutes ago, you'd probably recognize both of us. All right, so timer starts when I hit quit to menu here. So 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, go. All right, so what I'm gonna do first here is I'm gonna grab the most important power-up in the run. This is called Edgy because it makes us look like Shadow the Hedgehog. And this power-up's really important because it gives us a triple dash. I'm gonna grab this power-up as well. And what I'm gonna do here is called a magnet dash. So what I did was I did a homing attack on an enemy. It's called a Jester dash in this game, but it's basically a homing attack. If you do a homing attack and immediately cancel it with a dash, you gain like a very large burst of speed. And the reason why that happens is because you dash towards the enemy, but you cancel out the attack animation, so you keep the speed. And that was level 1, by the way.
Yeah, also something he pointed out to me earlier is that basically anything that you can see in the level, you can probably get to somehow.
All right, so coming up is FM Downtown. We're gonna do a magnet dash here early at the beginning. We messed it up a bit, let me go back. There we go. And I basically did it against a slope, so I immediately gained a bunch of vertical height. All right, so that dash I did there with the power armor power-up, that is only possible with the power armor. It's much further than a normal dash, so it's always good to switch to that power-up if you need a further dash at any time. All right, we tried to magnet dash in that tunnel, didn't work out as well. And one more magnet dash. And as you saw, I just parried that propeller there. You can parry in this game. You can parry pretty much every attack. And it's really good while running through levels because you can parry pretty much any obstacle that comes to you. All right, so coming up is the first boss, Rhino Dino. This is a good time for me to explain bosses because they're pretty simple. So I'm going to use the power armor during these bosses because it is the most damaging power-up in the game, mainly due to its attack speed. And if you look at the upper left, you see how I have a 2 times damage, now it's at 3 times? That increases each time we parry an attack, as well as attacking the enemy. And 3 times means we're doing 3 times damage, so we want to get 3 times as fast as possible. And that's pretty much how bosses work in a nutshell. So bosses are probably a great time for donations once we get to future ones.
Because it's already over.
Yep, exactly.
Similar to my bosses.
All right, coming up is Floria Highway. I'm gonna go for what I would say is the hardest trick in the game. All right, what I'm doing right now is a thing called switch boosting. I am basically rapidly switching power-ups while pressing the attack button. And let's go for this here. All right, I went, I think, straight up in the air, which is not what I wanted, so I'm just gonna continue. So if that's done correctly, you will dash across like the majority of the stage. It's just very hard to pull off. And it does save about like maybe 10 seconds or so. It's a big time saver if you get it right. Either way, this is still a quick stage, so I'm gonna go for backup here. Gonna magnet dash across these enemies. All right, unfortunately, I didn't make that jump there, so we're just gonna have to go through this loop normally. And again, switch boosting to just gain so much speed. It's actually tech that was discovered about 15 days before this run, so I had to reroute it like into the entire run, and it's actually insane. It completely changed the game.
Yeah, he was explaining the tech to me in this game, and like I'm following, okay, this is called this is called this, and then he's like combining these techniques into these like huge amalgamations of words, and I'm like, I have no idea what's going on anymore.
All right, so we're gonna do one more magnet dash here, and hopefully land on this rooftop over here. Oh, just barely missed it, ouch. So not the best Floria Highway, but again, this stage is really similar to Sonic Unleashed. It's very straightforward, unless, you know, you did all the tech correctly and you just flew over the entire stage. All right, so some stages have mini bosses at the end of them. This is one of them. Very straightforward, just like normal bosses. Make sure you parry all the attacks. get your 3 times as fast as possible. We got it. There we go. And he's about to die in a couple seconds. There we go. And there's a little bit of lag on the death animation, so you usually run away just to reduce that for RTA strats. And there we go. There's Floria Highway.
And I think you mentioned to me earlier something about like when you parry something, it also does damage.
Yeah, so I'm actually going to hopefully show it off at the beginning of this level here, so I'm glad you brought that up. So I'm going to parry this laser at the beginning, and it's going to kill an enemy right next to me. Oh, missed that. There we go. Oh, actually, let me restart. So what I want to do is kill this enemy so it's easier to magnet dash off of another enemy. So let's try that again. Actually, let's just kill him normally. There we go.
Sometimes you just gotta do it the old-fashioned way.
All right, I had the wrong power-up equipped there, unfortunately, but that's fine. We're able to make it up by just getting momentum. All right, and there's a little lava here. It doesn't immediately kill you, but it does hurt a lot, so you want to make sure if you do land it, you jump out, like, immediately. All right, so not the best Floria plant, but we're making up for it.
The floor is lava, guys.
Yeah. So coming up is one of the only clips in the run, actually, where we're going to clip straight through a wall, you know, just like a Sonic game. Wouldn't be a Sonic game without the glitches. So I'm going to run at this wall at a certain angle. There we go. Now we're inside the wall, totally intended, working as intended. And by jumping through that wall and jumping to the other side of the tunnel, that just skips the majority of the tunnel section. And the tunnel section is this very long, drawn-out, you know, dodging fire kind of section.
All according to plan.
Yep. Totally intentional. All right, so coming up is Turbo Bird. Not much going on here, just another boss, so this would be a good time for donations.
Fantastic. Splatter Pop sends in $5 and says, had to donate after hearing Imaginary talk about her experience. I'm disabled, and it means a lot to me hearing her story. It means a lot seeing everyone bringing in money for able gamers as well. Y'all are amazing. Thank you so much. Also, $5 from Fun is Infinite. And it says, Sonic Forces looks different from what I remember.
Yeah, this one's actually a good game. It's crazy.
Yikes.
Shots fired.
This song sounds so Sonic. It's crazy.
Yeah, in case you haven't noticed, this game has absolute bangers in its soundtrack. And this is no exception. All right, and there's Turbo Bird.
Both these games have amazing soundtracks, and they sound completely different.
All right. So I'm going to be quiet at the beginning of this next stage. If everything goes well, basically don't blink. All right, let's go for this. Whoops. Oh, I missed that magnet dash, unfortunately. That's a really hard one to get, because normally you're going for that one at a very high speed. But I'm glad I got the first one. That's the important one. That looks really cool, and it's satisfying to pull off. Also, this stage is unnecessarily bright.
It is. I'm like, okay, I'm not blinking, but I still can't tell what's happening.
Yeah. Yeah, so unfortunately, I got hit by a spike, which kind of killed all my momentum. Because if done correctly, that'll take you pretty much to the end of the stage. And, ooh. The stage is not being very nice to me right now. All right. The stage is a lot brighter than I remembered, though, right now. All right, and mini-boss at the end of this stage. Don't blink on this one either, because normally at this point you have 3 times just from going through the stage, normally I'm parrying so much. So the boss dies in literally like less than a second. It's kind of ridiculous. All right, so coming up is Castella Blanca. Any Sonic Heroes fans out there? If so, then this is basically Hane Castle from that game. It even has the gravity mechanic where we will be going on the ceiling at one point in the level. All right. And here's the ceiling switcher now. All right, now coming up, camera warning, the camera can go crazy here, but I'm gonna do the only other wall clip in the level by running alongside the inside of this wall against this fence. And come on, let me in. Let me in. There we go. Awesome. Got it. And so the goal of this level is this yellow barrier here. You're supposed to go through and turn it off. But as you can see, we just completely ignored that, which saves literally minutes off of your time. So there we go. There's Castella Blanca.
Yeah, the camera was actually very nice that time.
All right.
I watched it before and I was like, ooh, this is the seizure warning.
All right, so this boss is a little complicated. She's one of the more tougher bosses in the game. Some of her attacks don't really have the best telegraphs in comparison to others. Like, there's no audio cue for that one at all.
She really reminds me of Cresselia right now. I'm sorry.
Yeah. So this little red thing I'm standing in, eventually it's going to do a lot of damage. So my goal is to kill the boss before it kills me in this state here. Because if you look at my health, it's constantly draining there. And there we go, we did it. All right, so there's Float. Honestly, one of the toughest bosses in the game, in my opinion. All right. All right, coming up is Shantoria Town. This stage has a lot of history, but now it's one of the fastest stages in the game. We're basically going to go across most of the rooftops in the background, which we're totally not supposed to do. And I'm going to go for a very special magnet dash here, where I'm going to go vertically.
If we're not supposed to use them, why did you put them here?
Oh, no. And I just fell, unfortunately. So what I'm trying to do is called an exhausted magnet dash. What that is if you exhaust all your dashes before doing a magnet dash, instead of going straight forward in the air, you will actually go in the direction of the object that you're locked onto. Oh, I missed it, unfortunately. There's plenty of bubbles here, though. So you got many chances to do this. Ooh, not good. So I'm gonna go for this hopefully one more time. You have a lot of chances to get this one. Ooh, backwards, unfortunately.
That was weird.
That happens sometimes when you do a magnet dash like too early, I believe, or too late. It's one of the two. There we go. This is what we wanted. And we should hopefully make it all the way across. There we go. And there's the gold ring. Just kind of relax in there.
And I think that thing that was throwing up that shield-looking thing was called switch boosting.
Yeah, and by doing it in the air, you basically gain more forward momentum in the air. So I'm going to be spamming that a lot. All right, so I'm going to go for another exhausted magnet dash here at the beginning. All right, missed that one, unfortunately. They're a lot harder than they look, sadly. I'm not having the best luck. So we're just gonna do the rest of the stage somewhat normally. All right, and we've even got the air rings from the Sonic series here.
I like the billboard that's like just the shoes.
So as you saw, I actually just magnet dash off of a spring. That's one thing you can actually do. You just have to make sure you're higher than the spring. Otherwise, you'll just do a normal homing attack on the spring and it's not gonna work. And fun fact, this game's gone through a lot of patches. Before, you couldn't do a double jump out of these air rings, but now you can. It's a really nice piece of tech. And another magnet dash off of the spring there. And we're gonna go for one last one here. By the way, this is one of my favorite songs in the game. This song's really catchy. It gives me like a Jet Set Radio or Sonic CD vibe.
Yeah, it's got a nice groove to it.
All right, and there's Technoria City. All right, coming up is basically Shadow the Hedgehog. This boss is literally you, just a more edgy version of you. He actually looks just like the edgy power-up, which is kind of funny. I think that was probably done on purpose. So this is actually 2 bosses in a row. So this will be a good time for donations. I will point out, in the next boss, there are a lot of flashing lights, so I'm just gonna give everyone a warning now.
Okay, so everyone look away, but listen as we hear donations here. Simon35 sends in $25 and says, super hyped for the SM64 randomizer coming up. Let's make it to 120 stars. I agree, we are at 2,419 out of 25,000 that we need. So we gotta pump it up. Also, we have I can't pronounce his name, so I'm going to guess it. Ogendracher with $5 says, good morning, GDQ. This Spark run is fast as a train, so let's get a $5 train going. Great job by everyone working behind the scenes to keep us in the early weekend hours. I would accept that.
Again, flashing lights warning.
Jacob X1701 sends in $25 and says, good work.
All right, so this boss kind of has a thing at the end where he does like a last-ditch explosion to try to kill you. But we can just parry it, you know, no big deal.
That's how explosions work, right?
All right, so coming up, I believe is Terminal Dragon. I believe that's the next stage. I get mixed up with the order of these sometimes. All right, so this stage, you want to keep your momentum because if you lose your momentum in the stage at all, it's very hard to get back. All right, so far so good. I'm going to do a safety strat here and just jump through this ring and do a magnet dash there. More switch boosting to get speed. And we're going to do that throughout the majority of the level. Ooh, unfortunately I missed that magnet dash. So, in case you haven't noticed, those blue bubbles, they actually give you more score multiplier, which is good because if there's a level like this one that has a boss at the end, you want to get your score multiplier as high as possible. So I started this boss with 2 times instead of nothing. If done correctly, you'll start this with 3 times, which is great. And there we go. There's the mini boss. All right, so coming up is Scary Astropolis, very odd name for a stage. This stage probably has some of my favorite aesthetics of the game. This first magnet dash here is one of my least favorites, so let's see how it goes. Never mind, okay, we got it first try.
Always nice when that happens.
And now this game is basically Flight Simulator. We're flying through like the majority of the stage here. And I'm gonna go for an exhaustic magnet dash here at the end. Unfortunately, I didn't get that one. That one's one of the harder ones to get. If done correctly, it will shoot you straight to the goal ring. And it's actually nuts. It's more of an IL strat than anything. All right, there we go. There's Scary Astropolis. All right, so coming up is Titanic Tower. This is a very vertical stage. While most stages are pretty, flat, this one's just a giant tower that you're climbing the entire time. You can potentially fall off the top of the tower and go all the way to the beginning. But as you saw, I did a huge skip there by gaining a bunch of speed and just skipping most of the beginning of the level. We're gonna switch boost going up these ramps just to gain as much speed as we can. I'm gonna go for a big skip here. I'm only gonna go for it once, but it saves a lot of time. It's another exhausted magnet dash, except I'm gonna charge into it. There we go, I think we got it. Yep, we got it. Awesome. All right, so as you just saw, that little goal ring I just passed is an early goal. The category I'm running is no early goals, so we're not gonna hit that. The developer of this game thought that this level was way too hard for newer players. So on your first time playing, there's an early goal there. And eventually we just split the categories to say, okay, if people want to run, early goals, they can. But the people that don't want to, we have our separate category for it. And it's the better category, in my opinion. There's Titanic Tower. All right, so coming up is Flint. And one of the harder bosses in the game because he does move around a lot. But still, this is a good time for donations.
Traylina sent in $5 and said, the ultimate Spark tutor here. I'm a bit late, but I'm here to see the best flight simulator.
Shout out to Trey. He's a moderator for, she's a moderator for Spark 1.
All right. Quiva sent in an actual pronunciation for the name, so thank you so much. And $50. It says, really glad to see Spark the Electric Jester at one of these. Absolutely one of my favorite games of the year, and the Freedom stages And the freedom that the stages give you for tricks is wonderful.
All right, and there's Flint. And fun fact, this boss actually doesn't die. You see, he kind of teleports away. And some people might be wondering the story of this game. I have over 200 hours in this game, and I still don't understand it, so there you go. All right, so coming up, Planetary Stripe. This is basically, this is when the game turns into F-Zero instead of Sonic. There's a lot of speed in this stage. This is the one stage in a game where there are actually no enemies. They kind of just let you go. All right, so the mechanic of this level, as you might have saw, is gravity switching. So I'm gonna jump off the stage and hit that gravity switcher a bit early. Then I'm gonna hit this magnet dash. Unfortunately, I missed it originally, but we're able to make up for it. All right, so I'm gonna go for a big skip here by jumping off this loop. All right, so if I went too high there, I actually would have hit a kill plane and died, which is why I kind of stopped myself there. All right, so this loop could potentially take us to the end of the stage here. Yep, we got a lot of height there. Oh, that's awesome. That's gonna take us to the end of the level. Totally intentional.
Yay, Flight Simulator.
Yep. There we go. There's Planetary Stripe.
Nice.
All right, so coming up is Hyperwrath Fleet, also known as Hyperwrath Yeet by some of the community. This is probably the hardest stage in the game. It is actually one of the only stages that we don't have sub 1 minute on yet, because it's a very long stage, despite the fact that I'm flying over the majority of it right now. Ooh, I lost a lot of speed by bumping into that enemy. It's unfortunate. So the goal of this stage is basically you're going through 3 ships. We're gonna go into the first one right about now. And it's very cramped in here, so we're gonna try not to hit anything and lose all our speed. There we go. And if done correctly, I'm gonna jump on top of the second ship here. All right. There we go. Ooh, I missed that magnet dash, so I'm gonna go for this one instead. There we go. So now we have a lot of speed, and we're gonna be extremely careful not to fall off this platform here. This is very similar if you're familiar with Sonic Colors, the floor in Starlight Carnival, where you're basically, no, you're fine. It's basically similar to Sonic Colors where the floor is kind of forming in front of you. And now we're inside the third and final ship. This is where the difficulty of the game, in my opinion, definitely ramps up. There's so much going on in this ship. There's a lot of obstacles to run into. Just a lot of enemies as well that hit pretty hard. I'm gonna go for a magnet dash here. Ooh, unfortunately I got stopped by the propeller. So if done correctly, you'll go through that entire tunnel. And you'll actually have so much speed that you'll actually go through some of those propellers. It's like they don't even exist. All right, so this is the engine room, which used to be one of my favorite, well, my least favorite sections of the game, but now we can just kind of, you know, jump straight through it for the most part. All right, so far this is actually a very good Hyperwrath. All right, so there's a giant laser of death at the end of this room, but we're just gonna ignore it by going through the room extremely quickly. You know, it basically wasn't even there. And as you saw, that timer did start at 64 and immediately go to 59. Don't ask how that works. I'm no mathematician here. But that countdown basically means if it counts down to 0, we will basically be hit by this like unseeable attack that'll basically keep attacking us until we die. But as a fun fact, you can parry that attack and it doesn't actually matter. All right, coming up is Astro Amalo. Kind of an annoying boss because it's actually 2 bosses. You're only attacking Astra, but Amalo can also hit you. But this is a good time for a donation or 2.
Cool. Kitty Stinky sends in $25 and says, gotta go fast.
Thanks, Kitty.
And Fishy Justice sends in $50. These names are killing me. $50 and says, this game looks amazing. What do you mean there are 2?
Yeah, the first game's actually in 2D. It's definitely worth playing as well.
Also, reminder, if you really want to donate, we have a donation incentive for Tetris 99 Battle Royale, which is sure to be a treat. If you've never seen Tetris speedruns, they are incredible. So we're at $1,120 out of the $9,999 that we need. Please, let's get there soon.
All right, so coming up, this is the final normal stage in a game, not including bosses. So I'm gonna go for 2 very difficult magnet dashes here. So we're gonna go for this one first. There we go, got it. And this next one can save me potentially a minute or so no pressure. And we should be flying towards the end of the stage here, and got it, just barely. So this stage normally looks like a giant thing of spaghetti, basically, but we just skipped all of that. So we don't have to worry about that anymore. And we got this very difficult to navigate tunnel here. All right, so this ending section here, if you go off the platform, you will take a lot of damage. So that's why I'm being extremely careful here. All right. As you saw, look at my health now, and I just barely walked off just a little bit. All right. And there we go. There's the last level, not including bosses. All right, coming up is Freon, who's the big villain of the series. And this is the second to last boss. This guy teleports around a lot, but he has a lot of attacks where you can actually parry them more than once. Unfortunately, I missed that one. But he has a lot of attacks that you can parry more than once. Oh, I'm sorry. Also, flashing lights warning. I should have said that before. But if you parry those attacks really early on, it saves a lot of time because you'll get your 3 times much faster. All right. We're almost done here. I believe this is the last phase. There we go. And he's dead. Screen kind of shakes a little awkwardly there. All right, so coming up is the final boss. If there's any anime fans in chat, this is where you should spam any anime emote you have, because this is basically where the game turns into Dragon Ball Z. We are now Super Fark, and that's another fun thing. The main character in this game is actually named Fark. He was a character in the first game. We are not playing as Spark, the electric Jester, despite the game being named that. All right, so this fight is basically a giant anime. It's really interesting how this fight is. I just
Visually, this fight is amazing.
Yeah, the music is great, and just the aesthetic is awesome.
When we were practicing, I looked over at one point. I was like, "When did you start playing Persona?"
All right, so this boss has 3 phases. There's a cutscene. There's a fun little cutscene in between each one. And right now I just grabbed my leg. Nani? All right, so coming up is phase 2. Pretty much the same fight between each phase. He just has a different weapon each time. He might attack slightly faster, but he telegraphs all his moves, so they're not very difficult to worry about. And that little circle attack, for whatever reason, he always dodges outside of the circle, so you don't have to worry about him. And definitely some Dragon Ball Z influence here. This final boss looks like a fusion of Frieza and Cell. All right, so last phase. Time is coming up very shortly. All right.
Oh, the anime.
So much anime. And time. All right, and what was that time? Oh, sub 30, wow. So the estimate of this game was 40 minutes because this game has changed a lot since I submitted it. It's a much faster game now. I believe world record is just barely sub 25. I believe it's 24:58. So yeah, a couple of shout-outs. Shout-outs to the entire community for this game. It's a very small one, but it's growing steadily because this game's been in a couple of marathons. I believe this is actually its 3rd appearance at a marathon, and it's been out since May, so it's doing very well. But if you want to get in this game, check out speedrun.com/spark2. There's a link to our Discord there. And we actually recently put out a tech video explaining all the tech for this game. And it's a very simple game to get into, very difficult to master, but if you want to get into it, don't be afraid. It's not as daunting as it may seem. And thank you, Imaginary, for helping commentate at the last minute.
Thank you for being my couch.
Right. Oh yeah, no problem. And fun little cutscene here. Final boss is like, hey, the end is finally here for me, but at least you will carry on my legacy. Our character just says, no. And the game ends. That's actually how the game ends. All right. And fun new little thing in the credits here that I have to point out or my community will be very upset with me. So this is a cute little credit scene that just goes through all the like enemies in the game. One of the enemies has a very peculiar name, and we'll be getting to him very soon. Shoutouts to Simple Knight and Slash being the like most magnet dashable enemies in the game. All right, and there's John. Just an enemy called John. All right, so that's Spark the Electric Jester 2. Thank you, GDQ, for having me again. And I'll see you guys later, hopefully.
Thank you so much for those 2 wonderful and very mesmerizing runs. We have quite a few comments, which is lovely. So, BJ214 sends in $50 and says, thank you. I don't know what that's in response to, but thank you. Ha, right back at you. Sakashar sends in $5 and says, I forgot to say I love the runners just hopping on each other's couch because, I mean, it's just incredibly wholesome. 2 incredible runs with great runners. Keep it up. Miria sends in $30 and says, meow. Pocket Light sends in $25 and says, kudos to mods and staff for doing great work behind the scenes. We need more ooh love and chat. And less than 3. We also need some ayaya. Yeah, I saw you, cute chat. Inani Mouse sends in $15 and says, good morning, Nika and GDQ. Well, good morning, Inani Mouse. Yo, Chris N sends in $25 and says, just woke up, but this game looks insane. First donation, but many years of watching. Keep up the good work. Well, thank you very much, Yo, Chris N. In case you're just waking up, this GDQ Express is benefiting able gamers. There are millions of people with disabilities who can't play video games without expensive, specialized equipment. The Able Gamers charity helps gamers with disabilities by providing that equipment free of charge. Their mission is to create opportunities that enable play in order to combat social isolation, foster inclusive communities, and improve the quality of life for people with disabilities. Fun is Infinite sent in $5 and said, hey, Sonic Forces was a fun game. I definitely will check out this one now. It looks amazing. Also, thank you, Imaginary, for your speech. I have ADHD and anxiety, and it affects my reaction time a lot. So I marked myself unfit for speedrunning. Maybe I shouldn't give up on that just yet, though. I've got to say, absolutely don't. I can say from experience that speedrunning is for everybody. You got to find the right game, and you just got to buckle down and do it. Thank you so much for your comment. If you were looking for a good reason to donate on this morning, we have one bonus game, Tetris 99 Battle Royale, that needs quite a few donations in order to see it today. Which, again, if you haven't seen a Tetris speedrun before, yes, they exist, yes, it's a real thing, and it's incredible. We are at $1,165 out of the $9,999.99. That sounds crazy, but I know that we can do it, because it's worth it. I hope he's listening because Nace sends in $15 and says, Big Law, good luck, Big Law, on your run, Big Law. The FM crew are so proud of you, Big Law, Big Law. He did not seem to notice. Oh, he did, sorry. I'm gonna pop it over to a Twitch ad real quick, and they'll be right back for you. I know you were all excited about this upcoming game, so much so that there was a bid war, and Ollie the Magic Bum won, so I can't wait to see what's going on there. And we are ready for Tony Hawk's Pro Skater 8.